Hello, internet. Hello. Never mind about that. Normally I sit here before you about to give you a review of a recent movie that I've seen, but not today. I mean, I should be seeing every movie, right? I mean, I have a Regal Unlimited pass. It basically feels like I'm getting every movie for free. I've seen Across the Spider-Verse 4 times in the theater. I went and saw Megan in January. I went and saw Shazam! Fury of the Gods twice. I probably shouldn't have admitted that. I go to movie theaters a lot with different people just for the sake of going to the movies. Even if it isn't a good film. I saw Elemental. I saw The Flash. But today I am not going to give you a review of a movie, even though a big movie is opening at the theater this weekend as we speak. Indiana Bones and the Dial of Destiny. I should be going to see it to talk about it, right? Well, actually no. And as you've seen in the thumbnail, I'm actually here to tell you why this specific movie is the one that I just decided not to see. First, I want to explain my relationship to the previous Indiana Jones films. I've seen them all. I really love Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love the filmmaking and storytelling there, and it's the one that I've rewatched a lot. I've seen all the other ones once. I thought Crystal Skull was the weakest one, but it still managed to capture the feel of Indiana Jones despite its flaws. So I'm not a mega Indiana Jones fan, but I do appreciate the series and I've watched it all. But this movie coming out? No. And why is that? Well, first of all, the trailers weren't looking great. I didn't think that we even needed another Indiana Jones film. That was weird. The title was awful, Dial of Destiny, and Harrison Ford is like 90 years old. Now, I'm not ageist against these people in Hollywood, in the actors. I don't like it when actors get old and they're being like, oh, you're washed up. We should just get rid of you. But there is a point where physically, I don't think that a person should be doing these action movie roles anymore. Harrison Ford even got injured on set. I don't want Harrison Ford to die, basically being milked for his stardom in another action movie. But I was still planning to go see it until it went and screened at Cannes Film Festival, which was to this day probably the worst decision that Disney ever made, because it started getting really negative reviews from this. This is where the film connoisseurs go. And you know, I usually don't give that much credence to reviews on Rotten Tomatoes anymore. I paid more attention to YouTube critics than I do mainstream critics. But it was what they were saying in these reviews that got me. They were saying that in Indiana Jones 5, that Indiana Jones is a washed up man, divorced, his son died in Vietnam, that he's old, he's depressed, and that his snarky goddaughter is the one who gets ahead of him and is the actual spunky, spry hero of the film. Why would we want to watch a washed up Harrison Ford run around doing things? That's not what we look for in Indiana Jones. And the reason that that got me especially is not just because that sounds like a big slog of a film, and I'm convinced of that point, but that Lucasfilm has done this before. Where did they do this? In Star Wars The Last Jedi, where we found Luke Skywalker, an old decrepit man who's given up on everything, who is not the hero we thought he was, and he gets upstaged by Rey, this up-and-coming Jedi who seems to be able to do everything. So I know the pattern right now, and that's why I completely reject this film. And there's other things going into that, like I just watched The Flash, and at that point I'm just kind of burnt on just sitting through these awful movies in the theater. This is a massively overlong film, and I don't want to sit through that either. Add to the fact that there was absolutely nothing in the trailers, like I said, that was getting me to see it. Add to that also, it looks like another bloated CGI slog mess. Add to that also to the fact that the critics for once convinced me on what's bad about the film and that the character arcs don't really wrap up. There's not really a happy ending to Indy's story from what it sounds like. All that combined is what makes it just sound like a miserable time. And I've seen Lucasfilm do this before. I don't know why. There is even some conspiracy theories out there that Kathleen Kennedy is somehow angry at these male heroes that she used to work on, and so she just wants to tear them down and push these female characters up as some sort of revenge thing. And I mean, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories like that, but it's happened more than once now. And there's, by the way, no problem with trying to push up female legacy characters to these heroes. I was really originally excited to see what Rey would be when the sequel trilogy was coming out. But it's the way that they push them, in that it doesn't really matter if they're female characters or male characters or children or whoever. People don't want to see their original heroes turned down. Indiana Jones was popular and successful not just because of Harrison Ford's personality that people really like as an action hero, but because it was a lighthearted adventure story. That is Indiana Jones. That is what even Crystal Skull got right. This just sounds like a depressing slog that tells you that thing you liked from before wasn't good. You need to like the new thing. Oh, you don't like it? Well, too bad. This franchise will just be dead then. That's kind of the attitude that I really feel from this. It's just such a strange business choice though, because why did they get Harrison Ford, who is in his 90s to do this film. It's because he's one of the last movie stars. It's because they know that people want to see Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford. So why would they tear him down, just like they tore him down in The Force Awakens, where once again, just like Indiana Jones apparently is, he's a divorced dad who failed his family, whose son hates him, who ends up just dying very unheroically in another moment where he's actually failing. It's terrible. And after we saw how they treated Harrison Ford and his character in the Star Wars sequels, I don't want to see them do that to him again in this movie. I don't not only want to not support that with my money and my time, but I just don't want to feel that misery. I don't want to partake in that. To me, there are 4 Indiana Jones films, and yes, I will include Crystal Skull in that. I think it's a legitimate Indiana Jones film. To me, Indiana Bones and the Dial of Doom Destiny doesn't even exist. I've got another video coming on this really fast, and I hope you'll subscribe and stay tuned for it, but Hollywood is in deep trouble this summer. I have never seen this many bombs in a summer or this many movies that just aren't really big successes. WB and Disney especially are losing so much money. So it just blows my mind that with a movie like Indiana Jones, that they blow it up to a budget of almost $300 million, meaning that this movie has to break almost $1 billion to be successful. So why would they make these choices for a film that is clearly not going to be a crowd pleaser? It's like they're killing themselves. But they made their bed and they're going to have to lie in it, so to speak. Will they fire Kathleen Kennedy over this movie? I don't know. Even if they do, I think it's a little bit too late for Lucasfilm. They've kind of killed all of their IPs. But that's all I got for you today, and sorry this is a more depressing video, but I've got some great, more informative videos and some fun videos planned, so be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see my own films that I'm creating, you can click the playlist down below, and if you want to support all my content as always, you can support me on Patreon. It costs only $5 to sign up. You get some exclusive behind-the-scenes videos with that, and always shout-outs on this channel. Shout out to Patreon J. Thank you always for your support, and I will see you guys next time.